What is up? Metal Gets Me High, episode 23. You got me, Al. We got Razor. It's just
Yo,
gonna be us tonight. We're gonna talk metal stuff that we're digging. Shout out Brad. Right now, Brad is out with also friend of the show Wyatt out in Utah. We definitely miss you guys. Hope you're doing good. And then Razor, you are not in
I
your
am.
little den.
Yes, I am live from Vegas, live
You're
from Sin
live in
City.
Vegas, and let everybody know why are we in Vegas this week? What are we hitting
I
this
am,
weekend?
I am out here for Skank Fest, which is a 3-day comedy festival of more like a comedy party of just a lot of, a lot of shenanigans, a lot of drinking, and a lot of laughing. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be a great time. Repping some good metal out here in Vegas. I wore this
shout
out to
out
a
Tribal
comedy show today.
Gaze.
Shout out Tribal Gaze. Shout out Lorna Hill or Chelsea
Or
Grin.
yeah, Chelsea Grin.
Chelsea Grin with the Suffer in Hell hat. So yeah, it's a good day so far.
Dope.
It was.
I think you're gonna have a blast there. I think it's you're gonna meet lots of people and maybe make a couple
Spread the
fans
metal
of the
word, bro.
freaking give some people some metal, wear a shirt where someone's like, oh shit, what is that? Like, and then there you go, you got somebody. So as we always do, we're just out here trying to infect the world, right?
Hell yeah, we're it's it all starts with the shirt.
Yeah,
Everybody looks at the shirt and they're like, "Oh shit, what's that?"
it's like
And
art,
it's
it's like getting an album cover. How sometimes it's so easy for you to get reeled in by the art, because that's what this music is. So much of it is art.
yeah, and you know what? Shout out to all the artists out there making all these bands cover arts because
Yeah,
there's like especially recently with some of the bands out like Phobophilics, Tribal Gazes, Ninth Choir. I don't know if these are famous pictures beforehand. There's
no,
a
they
lot
they hit
other
them
ones
up.
like Rise to the Grave or
Yeah,
Rise
it's
from the
time to
Grave. It's
rise from
time
the
to
grave.
Rise from the Grave. It's such great album work that it's. I feel like there's a lot more like really profound artists out there that are indulging in the metal community, which
Yes,
is cool as fuck.
that definitely is. That definitely is, and I can't wait. Like an album that I think that's got a sick album cover that I'm really excited to check. I think it's actually an EP. Is the new Worm EP that's gonna
Yeah,
be coming out very soon. I think that's like what caught me is instantly the album art, and then even the gentleman who does the band, who's basically like I know there's members, but he's the mastermind. It's an album. He said a lot of it's like trying to be Emperor, the Night Side Eclipse, which one of my favorite albums. So that sold me. And I was very fortunate. My local record store actually had a pressing of that album, and I got my hands on it. I was on the phone with you actually. I was like, dude, should I buy
yeah.
this or
It
should I
was
buy
between
this that
it
or
was between that.
Soundgarden?
Yeah,
And man, the I'm brain farting on the album like that. It's pissing me off.
it was them,
Soundgarden, Super
Soundgarden,
Unknown,
or
and I was like, all right,
uh,
should I get the
yeah,
or Lorna Shore? Which, you know, speaking of them, they have an album that just came out. I can't wait to listen to that album. Their last album was absolutely incredible. The singles for this album have been sick. As we know, like they've got something going right now. They're really, I feel like, changing that genre specifically. So, I
yeah. Don't they have a new album coming out right
yeah,
here
Pain
that came
Remains
out
just
30
came
minutes,
out.
30 minutes
Yeah,
ago, 40 minutes
which
ago?
I can't wait to see that. It's called Pain Remains. They're going to be hitting the road very soon. It's like all the shows are sold out. I'm, we're going to freaking end up having to pay, above retail for that show. But dude, like, I can't wait to see them because I feel like they're on the rise, and I'm sure there's a lot of death metal people that don't get it, but dude, it's heavy. That's all I care about.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's gonna be fucking. It's as heavy as it gets. Let's be real
It's
here.
really heavy. It's really heavy. There, that show, for anyone who doesn't know, it's them aborted, ingested of sulfur and angel maker.
Well,
So stacked bill, if you know, especially if you're into deathcore. But like, dude, ingested, aborted, that stuff's pretty slammy in my opinion.
yeah, hell yeah, yeah. That's yeah, and headliners Lorna Shore, right?
Yeah, Lorna Shore's
They
headlining.
they Will Ramos in particular, he is such an amazing frontman, and not just like the way he like I've seen some videos and the way he like commands the crowd, but also how mighty he sounds. You know, like
Yeah.
he is one of the mightiest right now in the game. Honestly, like
Yes.
there's a video that you showed me that it's him in the booth
Yeah.
and he's singing into the
To the
hellfire, correct?
hellfire. Yeah, to the hellfire.
Yeah, to the hellfire. And it is one of the most bone chilling songs you could listen to. Like you
Yeah.
can't believe somebody makes those kind of sounds with their mouth like that. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, and honestly, like the vocal talent he has is like to that of like Phil Bozeman or Travis Ryan, where he
Yeah,
has all the ranges, but like he makes these noises where you're like, how is that even humanly possible? And you're right. Like I saw videos of earlier this year him doing Suicide Silent songs, and it's like, whoo, that's turned up a different level right there.
yeah. It doesn't even make sense how he drags that out from the pit of his balls, you know, and that
Yeah,
shit comes deep. It comes from his fucking bunions, bro. That shit comes from his feet or something. I don't know,
yeah,
but he drags it out of the pit of his bodies, and it's I am definitely willing to pay above retail to see him. My
yeah,
dumbass, my dumbass didn't buy the tickets um, for retail. So I'll bite the bullet. I'll hit for him. I'll bite the bullet and get that
yeah.
retail.
Don't be idiots like us, especially right now. Whoever's listening, we know you
If you
fucking
like a
love.
band,
We
buy the ticket.
know you love
If you
fucking
like the band,
200
buy the
stab
ticket.
wounds. We know you love undeath. Buy a ticket to the Slave to the Grave show. We've got ours. We're freaking ready to go see that tour. Buy a ticket. Support these bands. Um, I cannot wait for that show. I know we've already seen 200 twice this year and Undeath once,
Dude,
but
I could
they
watch
are
him a million times.
undeniable. The talent that those guys have are both bands. Phobophilic too,
Well,
in Enforce, the band that I got the chance to check out earlier. Like these bands are playing some of the sickest music out there right now. And apparently according to Alex, this is supposedly like the hangout tour. Like they wanted this tour like kind of going in
they
like
can,
who are the
yeah.
coolest guys we could hang out with for 6 weeks.
Which is the coolest thing to hear because these quote unquote cool bands, and that just means that they're the coolest dudes. They they all make the best death metal in the game right now, and you
they're
can
revitalizing the genre as a whole. Like
you can see why each individual band is so good because of the chemistry between everybody. Every person in every one of those bands that's on the Slave to the Grave tour, they are the coolest guys. It seems like, whether you follow them on Instagram or on social media,
or talk
they
to
all
them like
seem,
we've got a
yeah,
chance
or
to.
talk to them and just hang out and maybe take a shot and smoke a little with them. You really see how down to earth all these guys are and see why they would actually want to make a tour like that. Because if off the top of my head you tell me the coolest guys in metal, just from the people I've hung out with, I'd say them off the top of my head. And it's basically everybody other than Phobophilic because I haven't had a chance to see them. But 200, Undeath, we had a chance to talk with Alex Jones,
That was just
not
last
just
week.
not just last week, but also when we first saw them.
Yeah, meeting them
We
in
had a
person.
chance to, yeah, and meet them in person. We had a chance to actually have a conversation. He seemed really, really cool. Same with 200. Alex Bull at the first time before the
No, Stephen
podcast.
Bull. Come
Or
on.
I'm sorry. I'm
Couple
sorry. I'm
drinks.
sorry.
Too many
I've
drinks.
I've had a
He's
lot
a
of. I'm in
drunk.
Vegas. I'm in Vegas. I've had 2 joints. I've had way too many whiskeys, but we're powering through this.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, Stephen Bull.
Yeah.
Before we got him on the podcast, we had a chance to talk to him. Coolest guy. So it makes sense why they'd want to make a tour like this.
Yeah. Like kicking it with the homies, man. Like kicking it with the homies. Something we will get to right now. Let me preface by saying last week I got some amps in my face. Definitely, I went to Aftershock, as you know, took my girl.
Yeah.
She got to experience my favorite band of all time, Slipknot, which before we dive into the end so far, the newest album, I've got to say, man, this is as someone who's seen Slipknot a lot live, in my opinion, that was the best I've ever seen Slipknot live. It was absolutely, they were so tight. They sounded so good. Corey's screams, especially, were absurd. Great energy. Um, it's like I said, definitely a more not popular, rock oriented show. So, there wasn't a ton of heavy, but Fit for an
Mhm.
Autopsy was super sick to see live. Glad I finally got to knock them off. And then uh, another band that I got to knock off the list that was just so nostalgic, but they killed it, was Kill Switch Engage.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
the three song like back to back to back that like got me feeling the type of way was when they went from what was it, My Curse, which is
Ah,
probably my favorite Kill Switch song, to
it's
The
the
End of
holy grail.
Heartache, to some CM Punk, This Fire Burns. Those three songs in a row, like, holy crap, it like took me down, memory lane of like just getting into metal, and like took me back to watching WWE, and like, what is that? What is CM Punk coming out to? It was just so nostalgic, and I was singing every freaking word. Like, it was incredible.
So
They
starting,
stuck out.
go
And
ahead.
then the
Go ahead.
last person I'll shout out that I didn't expect to really dig, that I thought was sick, was Ghost Main live. Um, that was the loudest set of the day. Like, I don't know what was going on through the intercom when they played, but it was the loudest set of the day. And the way that they blended, that Suicide Boys type of rap, I don't know how to describe it because I'm not somebody who delves too deep into that. But like that sound mixed with like the hardcore and black metal, type influences, it was super cool, and it is way better live than it is like studio. It's crazy, man. Shout out Ghost
You,
Main.
you know what? I could totally see like go because Ghostman he is a mix of hip hop and like a hardcore. I could see him just telling the producer because these bands they have a certain level that they want to play at, and they tell the producer, and they're sitting there doing sound check and going up and down.
Yeah,
I could see Ghostman being like, "Fuck that, crank that shit all the way up.
dude,
We
and
want
that's
to
what it
get this shit
was.
bumping," because he's got that hip hop mentality, but also is fucking with that hardcore sound.
The
I've had a
picks were
chance.
crazy, man.
Oh, I could imagine like just him hitting every aspect of what somebody wants to see. Of whether you like that hip hop, because I'm sure a lot of people that like because it's more of like a rock oriented show. It's not like a metal
Yeah,
metal show. You can get a lot of hip hop fans in there. So um, yeah, I could see that and see him being a really like big hit there, especially
yeah,
in the area, Sacramento.
killed it.
There, it's a really big, hip hop pub. Everybody fucking loves hip hop out there.
Yeah,
Um, So
Well,
I
and
could definitely see
because
that.
it's a more rock oriented show, brings more casual fans, you know what I mean? People who
Yeah.
are like, oh shoot, Slipknot's there. Oh shoot, Kiss is there. Whatever the case is, there's a little flavor for everyone, and I thought that was a sick set. But let's get into the
Hold on.
end.
Now I gotta ask. With Slipknot, like I've seen them 3, 4 times. How many times have I seen them?
I don't know how many
You
times you've seen that. I've seen
I've
them
seen
eight
them.
times.
You've seen
This
them
was
eight
the eighth
times.
time.
I've seen them maybe let's say 4 to 5 times, because I've seen them quite a few times, and I'm just
Yeah.
retarded. I'm retarded. Let's be real. So I have no recollection of shows. So I go to shows with you, so you remember for me.
You take
um,
the video, so you're like, oh yeah, okay, cool.
yeah, but my phone fucking wiped, so I have nothing now. So I have no recollection of any show I've ever been to. But I'm just that's a joke. But yeah, I basically I want to know like what separated Slipknot's performance from the times maybe I've seen them with you,
Dude,
because
I'm
they've
saying
killed it. I mean,
Corey's,
we've seen them, we've seen our buddy Wyatt at a Slipknot show,
yeah, terrified.
and
All I'm gonna say with
terrified.
him, Corey was the screams were just so mighty, and like various times we've seen them. Like I know he's quit smoking since things like that. Obviously, just being sober, him working out more. Like I think that he's bettered himself, and the performance showed. It's always a crazy show because you got the fire, you got the lights, you got the crazy, production
Yeah,
value to it. It was just everything tied in good. Everybody sounded tight. They had a pretty poppin' set list. Only one song from the new album, so it was just all most of the stuff you want to see. Obviously, a fan like myself, you're not who's I pretty much mess with the first two albums and then just certain songs from albums after that. Um, you see all the hits that you would want to see.
I could see all the haters on Reddit already fucking
Dude,
talking
no.
about you.
Don't even talk about wars in Reddit. But overall, I'll get into the album, the end so far. Um, and I say this fucking every episode, man. I'm a person. I have the original 9 members of Slipknot tattooed on me. I'm a fan. I'm a fan because I'm such a fan. I'm gonna be critical about shit,
Yeah, of
And
course.
the way I'm gonna put this album is that it's not for me. I don't think it's inherently bad. Let's start there. I
You're
don't
being a
think
lot
it's
nicer than
I
me.
don't I don't think it's bad. It's just not for me. Uh, I could see what Jim Root was saying about some of his comments leading up about him maybe not being like he didn't feel
A
like it
big
was
part
like
of it.
yeah, like everyone was a big part of it. It felt rushed. I think I could kind of see that in certain things, like because a lot of the songs, man, are just like they have like a basic structure to it where it's like, oh, here's scream sing breakdown, scream sing. It's like it feels like where the songs are going to go. The one song that I could say that I didn't know what was going on or where it was going to go is the opening track, Adderall. I'm like, I see a lot of people saying it's very Pink Floyd or Queens of the Stone Age, which I see, but like to me, when I'm listening to it at the first glance, I'm like, dude, this is Slipknot doing a Beatles song. It had like that vibe where I feel like I'm listening to a Beatles song,
It did,
and
100%.
you know, uh, it's just not for me. I know there are people gushing about it, people loving the album, and there were some moments
Everybody
there
likes
were some
different things,
moments like I'll tell you I was really digging the song Hive Mind at first, and then there comes the singy chorus and I'm like, you lost me. And then even same thing with Dying Song. I really want to like Dying Song, but like none of these songs had a chorus like say like Unsainted, where it hooks onto you and you're like, that's freaking good. So
Yeah,
I could see where maybe like that's where it feels rushed, that these choruses just aren't what they need to be. But I'm happy they got this album out, and I'm really interested to see what comes after.
yeah,
Not being on a label, what that's going to do for uh, their music going forward. I'm always going to be a fan because those two albums, the
because you
first two
have them
albums,
tattooed
are
on you.
they are the most important pieces of music for me. It's what started it for me, and I will never be ashamed to be a Slipknot fan. So that's my
100%.
take on it. What about you? Let's hear your take.
Me,
Your not as nice take.
so it's, I mean, it's not terrible, but I feel like of course, I was more conspiracy minded on this, and I was just hoping this album was a plethora of songs that they had, that they basically put together, and wanted to just give some stuff to the industry, because with Slipknot, they're very anti-industry for the most part, or they were, at least in
And
the beginning.
they don't need, at this juncture, they don't need Roadrunner. Roadrunner
Yeah,
definitely needs them. Like Slipknot has
that's
one of the most loyal fan bases out there. They don't need a label to do that kind of stuff.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying is, like, they can they could put such good music out by themselves, that I don't think they gave them their best stuff for this album. I feel like they threw some shit together, got out of the contract, and I'm hoping to God that they put out just a fucking a banger of an album. I have a Tribal Gay shirt on. Give me something fucking hard.
You know what? So,
you know?
I'm okay with them doing spirit, like experimental stuff that's softer. Like Snuff's a good song. But I think like
But
I've
it's
said this
eerie.
how many
Snuff's
times?
eerie. Snuff
How
is
many
eerie. It has
times
that eerie feel.
I don't know how many times I have to say this, like, and somebody else bigger than me who could actually reach those guys needs to say, work with Will Putney. He's the best producer in modern metal. I think that he could capture their sound in a more modern way. So if you know let's put that in the ether. Will Putney, please produce the next Slipknot album, because
And if
I know that album will not suck. Not that this
and
one did.
and Will Putney, I'm sure, is well, like, he is well traversed with the
Well
Slipknot
versed.
discography. Well versed, traversed. He's no, he's well traversed. You know why? Because he's tracked those fucking albums inside and out, and I know he has. And I
Yeah.
know he would be able to get the best. I've had a couple whiskeys, so um he would definitely be able to bring out the best in them with what he's done with Fit. He worked with Fit,
Fit for
correct?
an autopsy. He's
Yeah.
in Fit for an autopsy. Body
Yeah,
count, knock
body count.
loose,
And all these bands have put out such banger albums with them. I know
and
he would, with somebody as big as Slipknot, he would be able to bring out the best in them.
yeah,
And he's like well in depth with the metal scene. I feel like
yes.
he knows what's in, what people want to hear, and I feel like, he would kill that shit.
And I hope that we could segue into another album. I hope that Slipknot could maybe look at a band like Lamb of God, where this latest album that they put out is definitely a very solid album. I think they went to more of like a back to roots sound for that album. I think it was a good album. I liked that song "Ditch." That song was, I was at the gym and I was like, "Whew, this is some good, like really good
Banger.
Lamb of God. Like this is a banger Lamb of God song."
with Lamb of God, what I liked is the album. It felt so the last two albums I feel like were more of like an experimental album. They wanted to experiment with their
But
sounds,
yeah,
and this last one, say what you want about how good it was or not, but they're getting back to those roots of of that sound. You know, they want to go with
it
that
would be
that
groovy, catchy
groovy,
still.
yeah, but it's still heavy. They're
Yeah,
going back to that heavier sound, which really made me enjoy this album. Like I heard, some people were saying it's not the most original. I disagree. Like it gives me what I want when I listen to Lamb of God, especially today. Like you can listen to all the classics that are bangers, but you listen to this album and it scratches that itch for what you want from Lamb of God. If you like the older, heavier stuff, you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Well,
So I want to ask you, what are some releases or some bands that you've been
I got some
listening to?
stuff. Maybe I'll go into what I'm ready to what I've been listening to, but what I'll say,
Hmm.
obviously we touched on Lorna Shore. That's something
Yeah.
I'm going to be listening to once
As
a
soon as
little
this
bit
is done.
later in the evening. But I really want to check out this new Dead Body project, which is Colin Young and Taylor Young. With whenever those guys do anything, man, I'm in. Those guys know what the hell they're doing. From what it sounds like, this is
Name the
a.
bands.
I
Name the bands.
listen.
Hold on. Hold on.
I
Before
listen. Hold
name the
up. I
bands they're in.
listen. I listened to the single that they dropped recently, where you had to scan the QR code, and that single was 2 minutes of just fury. And from what I've kind of heard, it's more of like a death metal leaning project, which is dope because it's hardcore kids playing death metal. But the reason you're going to want to listen to this is because Taylor Young, anything he produces is incredible. First of all, let's start there. Tribal Gaze, Mind Force, freaking Harm's Way, just you name it. What he produces is incredible. But then God's Hate, like come on, dude.
You can't
Come
you
on.
can't
And
beat that album for
yes,
hardcore.
Twitching
Let's be real.
Tongues, which is an artist where like they're kind of ahead of their time. Like they've only recently, I feel like in the past couple years, have become big, and there's like a big demand because if you listen to Hardlore, Colin Young just talks about years of eating shit with that band. Uh, so I anytime those guys' names are attached to anything, obviously Taylor, one of my favorite bands, Nails. Uh, I'm always going to tune in. So I'm going to check out Dead Body. I'm really excited for the new Wretched Inferno. I don't know if it's a single or a EP or an LP yet, but I saw our friend of the show, Funeral Frog, talking about it. They're out there in
Mhm.
that same scene, so I definitely want to check out Wretched Inferno. And as far as stuff I've been listening to, man, gosh, let's first and foremost. I know we talk about this album a lot, but fucking Tribal Gaze, man. Like I love that album. It's not a recent release by any stretch, but the amount of riffs on that album
It's
is
ridiculous.
ridiculous, especially for a band where it's their first full length and their young band having just seen them on, their first tour. They are so sick.
Travel
I can't
gaze.
wait to see where they go. That's not a more recent, but on the more recent end of things, fuck, man. Angels Hung from the Arches of Heaven, the new Goat Whore
Yes.
album, is so good, man. It is. I was listening to it, and there were moments where I'm like, man, these guys are really going back to basics because I hear like some Motorhead in it, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and I like the Motorhead thing in black metal because White Spade, which is basically Midnight, and even Midnight, it has that old school Lemmy Motorhead feel.
It's
Um,
kind of crazy that Motorhead did have that now that I think about it, they did have those like black metal type riffs, but in like a rock tone,
Yeah.
you
It
know?
well,
Yeah.
they had, double kick drums, so I just like that. I could hear that because it made me think, I'm like, "Damn, this is, like, real back to root stuff," and that is a really good album. That's something I could definitely see on my year-end list. I've been soaking that up, and how I know it's a really good album is, A, I was at the gym, and I kept looking, "What song is this? What song is this? What song is this?" But B, because my favorite track is the last track of the album. I wish I would have wrote it down, but it's like a 6 minute 41-second song. It's the perfect way to end an album. It is such a good song. I wish I had it at the top of my head. And then there was this album that I checked out by a band called Sublation, I think. Uh,
Hmm.
Path to Bedlam. Uh, it's really cool, man. It's definitely on the techier side of death metal, but I heard a man. Am I gonna be crazy saying I heard some Black Dahlia murder in it, and I think that's what I was liking about it. It made me because, like, to be honest, it's kind of hard for me to listen to Black Dahlia murder right now, given Trevor's passing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so it was cool because it sounded similar at the gates ish, but kind of techie. It was its own thing, but I really enjoyed that. Um, that's definitely something to check out if you haven't.
I need to
Sublation,
check that
The
out. I haven't
Path
had a
to
chance to.
Bedlam.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
told
that's
me
a good
about that
one.
shit.
And then I've got two more that I've
Yeah, let's
enjoyed.
hear them.
One was Faceless Burial at the Foothills of Deliriation.
Yeah,
I've
Faceless
I've been
Burial is a
I've been
fucking.
a little, you know, I definitely haven't been huge into Death Doom in my metal career, but this year I've checked out a lot of Death Doom, and it's a genre that's starting to grow on me. Uh, it's a freaking sick album, man. It is heavy, it has great guitar work. Um, it has the perfect amount of like caveman to technicality. It's if you like Death Doom, you're gonna love Faceless Burial. And then the last one,
I listened to
uh,
Faceless Burial. That shit's hard as fuck, honestly.
right?
Yeah, for
It's
Death Doom, because
good.
I'm not a big fan of Death Doom as well, but it definitely was like it kept me the whole time. A lot of
Yeah.
Death Doom, it kind of loses me after the halfway point. It's just a little droning for me. I'm very caveman, but yeah, the Faceless Burial, it definitely kept me drawn in the whole time. So I know I definitely feel that.
And the last thing is this was a cool album. I kind of get into where so after I just watched the movie Smile, which
Yeah.
is the most unsettling horror film I've ever watched. And then after that, went home, lit up a blunt, and listened to this album. The artist is Mama Leak, and the album is Diner Coffee.
Yeah, you like that
What
shit, huh?
an album, man! It's like jazzy, and then it has all these, like samples in it, and it's like it's almost unsettling in itself at times. It changes a lot. It's a really cool album. If you want to listen to something weird, listen to that. That is the only way I could describe it. Is it's weird in the best way possible.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's such a it gives you an eerie feeling. So both of us so on there's a page on Twitter called the Heavy Metal Communion, and they wrote a review on Diner Coffee, and it I read it before the
Yeah, you
album,
showed
and
me it.
yeah, and I read it before the album, and then I listened to it, and it nailed it perfectly. It was saying it's like imagine like sitting in the back of a diner after really like bad acid trip,
Mm.
and just coming down, yeah, just coming down from a really bad acid trip, and you're just, sitting back, and it gives you. I don't know if it was because I did it. I listened to it on the way home, after the gym. Well, I was drained, and then it put me in this state. So like when I listened to it, I really digested it, like the way that that person um, reviewed it, because it
Yeah.
felt very eerie, very like anxious. You felt anxious almost listening to it, but it was so good, like with like a jazz twist, as you would
Yeah.
say, or a
It's
bluesy twist.
super dope, man. I really enjoy that. What are some albums you've been feeling?
Man, I've been diving deep. I wish I could say I've been listening to after the last few like big releases, like the Tribal Gaze, the Phobophilic. There was a day where like three albums dropped, and I really stopped paying. After that, I stopped paying attention to what was like pretty big, and I ended up finding a couple bands that I've been really digging. So the first one is this band Languish,
I
and
checked that album out. You sent them to me. That was a freaking sick album. Or is it
yeah,
EP?
dude, it was an EP, but I'm excited forever. It was their first EP, I believe, and I ended up
Nice.
actually finding them just on my explore page on Instagram.
Mm.
They just popped up, and I saw that they had a live video, and I didn't even listen to the music. I just saw how fun their show looked,
Mhm.
and I saw they had a Bandcamp, pulled them up, and the honestly, the album cover or the EP cover is it's you wouldn't expect that good of what came out of it to be in that, because it's very
It's
like
like a death grind, kind of,
comical.
right?
It's like, yeah, it's very comical almost. Like it's like a guy riding in on a horse with like laser beams coming out the back. It doesn't seem like very much. And you listen to it, and these guys fucking kill it. They
Yeah.
just fucking they annihilate it. And speaking on that, like you wouldn't expect anything out of like a weird like a weird cover. I found this band Primal Tyrant, and they're
Texas.
Texas TXDM, bro. Some good old Texas death metal, and they have this album. What's it's a self-titled album, Primal
Primal
Tyrant,
Tyrant. If I'm not mistaken,
or EP
now that I
maybe. I
think
don't
about it,
know.
that was an
Hmm.
EP, and then the Languish one, that one's actually a full length. So
Yeah, yeah, full
there we
length
go.
LP for the Languish. Primal Tyrant's the EP, and that EP is so hard. It's
Very good.
especially listening to or reading the lyrics. It's about dinosaurs. It doesn't make sense. You like why is this good? But it's all like you want it to be cheesy, and because of what it's about, but
That's metal.
they
Metal's
make it
cheesy,
work.
man.
They make it work so well.
Yeah.
Um,
Think
and
about
then
like
and
Sanguish
mhm.
Sugabog right now getting hate because basically like they're
Yeah,
cheesy. But the
they a lot
dude
of people
like
say calling them merch core. I'm like, they put out such
f-
good death metal. What are you
fuck
talking
fuck them. The bog rules.
the bog
Haters.
fucking the bog fucks, bro.
Yeah. Fucking haters.
Hamar, H
Lamar.
A all
You showed me
capital
that.
HAMARR. They have a piece called "Sapiens in Anguish," and I've been rocking that shit so
You
hard.
have.
That shit's so hard. It scratches that caveman part of me that I need. It's fucking in your face, good death metal. And I've been talking all about death metal, but if you like black metal and just something, this I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know what it was. I listened to this album on the way to work. It was 9 in the morning. I live in the farm part of California, and the sun was coming up on the
The
way to work.
armpit of the valley, as I call
Yeah,
it.
the armpit of the valley, and it was a beautiful sunrise on the way to work. I listened to this album called is it Sora? Sora by Soul Dissolution, and it
Okay.
was one of the most beautiful like black metal albums I ever heard. It put me in such a good mood for the whole day.
You know
It
what?
was
If you want an album like that, Alex brought it up last week. He actually wrote it on his panel, or his column, sorry, for Metal Injection. That Goods for Lods one,
yeah,
so
yeah.
good.
Is it that same type of feel to it?
I haven't listened to what you're talking about, but
Mm.
that album definitely made me want to smile for a black. It was probably the first black metal album where like I felt happy after listening to it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh,
I
that
know what
wasn't
you
some
mean.
hard. Like I love black metal, but it can be harsh listening at times. But
Yeah.
dude, I freaking love that shit. The other, I forgot to bring it up. We'll start winding down, but dude, it's spooky season, so of course I've been getting
Yeah,
my
hell
my
yeah.
my type O on, but
Mhm.
I am digging the fuck out of that Unto Others album. I am so sad that like I
Yes, dude,
missed out
yes.
on it for this long because I know it's been out for over a year now. But after talking to the butcher, I was like, if he's into this stuff, like, let me give it a deeper listen. And I've listened in the
I
past
blasted
three
that shit on the way to
days.
work.
I probably have listened to that album 3 times in the past 3 days. It is just it's like new typo negative, but like it's very much its own sound too. Uh, I'm I love that album, and I think it's just a spooky season album for me. So
It's a
that's
great
why.
fucking album.
Yeah. Well, we'll freaking start winding it down, man. I want to give a shout out right now. Actually, this
Let's
is
hear it.
a very big shout out. I want to say thank you to Ramel, dude. Ramel,
Yeah. Hell yeah.
you are a real G. Ramel is a friend of ours. He definitely helped me in ways of bringing this show to life, and he's been a viewer of every single show. He freaking texts me, telling me good show. So I really appreciate you, Ramel. Always commenting. Fucking, you're the man. And I'm excited for you to be able to hit a metal show very soon, my friend. Uh, you'll fucking have a blast.
Hell yeah. It's always the best time. As
It
soon
is
as you go to your
always the
first
best
one,
time.
you're hooked.
Yeah, it's just that's what this music's about. That's where when I think it clicks the most is when you get it in a live setting. Uh, so shout out to you, Ramel. You're fucking G. Fuck, look out for next week. I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give too much information, but we are next week going to do a double header. We're gonna be doing a show more in the afternoon slash morning ish, and then one at night. Uh, these are two artists that I think are they're doing some stuff for our genre. If you love death metal, you're going to love these artists. And I really look forward to talking to these guys. It's going to be very fun for episodes 24 and 25. I can't believe we're here. Just fucking on the journey, man. On the journey.
Hell yeah.
Well, shout out, bro.
I've had the best journey, and Ramel has
Yeah,
really helped out with all that.
yeah.
He's really been like the best. Uh, he's really
Fan.
helped us. Yeah, best fan. I mean, he's a shout out to him. We love the guy. The
Go
show
buy
loves
a
the guy,
Crypto
and
Sloth
we
if
do.
you can. Please do.
Yes,
Fuck it. Go check it
he
out.
has some metal
Crypto
ones. He
Sloth
has some pretty
Society.
badass ones.
Yeah, and bro, hope you have a fun ass time at Skankfest. Brad, I know you're out there listening, watching soon. Fucking have a blast in Utah with Wyatt. Freaking, I bet you guys are gonna lose your fucking hair at that USC Utah game. So have a blast.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, hey, it's always a fun time. Um, yeah, fucking lead us out.
Yeah, come back next week, everybody. Fucking Metal's gonna get us high twice next Thursday. Look out, we'll make some announcements coming up on that. Look out on the socials that our buddy Ramon runs. Look out, we'll leak what we're doing, with who we're doing it with. And if you like this shit, fucking as always, like, subscribe, share it. Fucking let's just infect the world with heavy music. That's all I want, man.
I couldn't have said it any better.
All right. That's Metal Gets Me High, episode 23.
Hell yeah.